What's up, everybody? Y'all know how we do it. In the lead up to the show, I am always jamming in the background. You could just about always believe that. So I was actually just rocking it out to Little Duval and Snoop Dogg, Smile. Smile, bitch. Smile, bitch. You got a lot to be smiling for, and we all do. We're thankful just to be here another day, I'm telling you. Thankful just to wake up. And I'm not trying to go to church or nothing with nobody right now, but I'm telling you. I'm just thankful every day I get to wake up and enjoy and come and do this and talk to y'all. But welcome to the Night Beat Breakdown, everybody, where we bring you the stories that matter, the issues we can't ignore, and we have the conversations we need to be having here to build our future that we deserve here. That's what the Night Beat Breakdown is all about, everybody. And so, KinFam, remember, tonight, just as every night, it's a big show. But before we hop into our conversation tonight, because I'm sure all of y'all have seen the promos and all of that going around, because we're going to be talking about why America's under attack and how y'all's folks, y'all's boys, Trump and Elon, Donald and Elon, how they basically took over, and we are going to be exposing that and breaking that down tonight, along with a couple other things. But before we get to that, everybody, I want you all to take a look at this really quickly with me. I am sorry that I didn't have this up. When I ask you all to go with us and to check out our website and to subscribe to it, welcomehomekin.com. I'm about to throw it up on the screen right there. There you go. welcomehomekin.com. It is fundamental, because this is like home base for everything, for all of our content. For not just all of our content, for all of our conversations we're having. You could comment on there. Starting next week, we'll be doing workshops, one workshop a week, Kin360, our marketing platform right here. Let's go back, and then the swag I've been telling y'all about. You click right there on swag after you get to our website, welcomehomekin.com, and that's that. But yeah, go sign up for the website. You could even watch live the show on the website. So if there's ever a chance where you aren't, let's say, in a position to like log on to YouTube or whatever the case may be, you could watch it just simply by clicking on there. And I'm going to click out of that, so there's no feedback. So, all right, let's get to it, everybody. So, go over to our website, become a member for $8.99 a month. The website, once again, is www.welcomehomekin.com. Scan the QR code right there to my right, your left, or my right, your right. I don't know. I swear, man. I was just in. I sat down about an hour before the show on my couch. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to sit here and like meditate and like just get in the right mindset and everything and just get ready for this stream tonight. And man, had I not set an alarm, I'm telling y'all, fam, I would have been out. We wouldn't have been having this. I'm telling you, it almost took me there. Also, y'all think I'm lying, chat. You really do. Also, pick up a copy of my book. In my book, I fundamentally, it actually was prophetic. I talk a lot about what's going on now, and I lay out the blueprint and the strategy for how we as Black America can save America again. Here it goes right here. It's $25. Scan that QR code right there on your screen, and by scanning that, that'll take you to Amazon to purchase it. As I told you all, we're working on having a book signing and a book event coming up later this month, one or two of them, not just for Black History Month, but also just so we could begin to like get active and get out there and begin having these conversations in person versus virtually. So we'll be working on that. And as you all just saw, our store, we dropped earlier this week the I Am Black 365 24/7 collection. So check it out, scan the QR code right there, or go to our website. So that's all we got for you for right now. And as far as homework and all of the all the church announcements are out to play. Y'all know how we like to row and how we do it. So real quickly, coming up, what we got on tap tonight is not just another show tonight. What we got on tap is we're going to get into a discussion and a conversation after we talk about and break down how Trump and Musk were able basically just to take over the country, in a sense to become the most powerful people in the world. After we break that down, through the stories that are making headlines today that I want to get into and have conversations about, and they will tie back into our main Kin family chat tonight, is how Trump and Musk, how they're also now getting ready to basically just gut the Department of Education. They had been saying this. They had been working on it for quite some time. So we could be looking at the death of public schools, which ain't good, y'all. Ain't good. And then the Democrats, they've been out in the streets. I'm trying to tell y'all, they've been out in the streets in Washington. We aired some of those clips a couple nights ago of them speaking, but we have to have this conversation about, is them being out in the streets, is this enough? What more can we do? Because fundamentally, I believe we're losing this fight. And then finally, when we bring everything all forward in full circle tonight, we are going to be getting into how Trump versus the media and how it's basically becoming the beginnings of a full-blown authoritarian state, y'all. It's crazy out here. So Tonight's goal, everybody, with this stream is not just to be reporting the news, but we're about to dive in, and we're about to get an understanding and a game plan on how to fight back. So right now, do me a favor, y'all. Let me know where you're tuning in from around the country, because I see a lot of you on there. Engage with me, chat with me, and let's get this on the road here. And y'all know how we do. So I want to start tonight with this right here. Y'all know on yesterday's stream, we talked about how every time we as Black America and how every time we as Black folks, we begin to make progress, America pushes back on us. And that's just a historical fact. We went through all of that, and we proved that, and we had that discussion last night. And if you weren't here for that this family discussion we had last night, go to the website, go to YouTube, and watch it, because we break it all down. And so it's with that in mind that we need to now get an understanding of how America got to this point right now where we are, because before we could understand how we got to Trump and how we got to Elon here in present day in 2025, running the free world as if it's their own company with their own checkbooks and things like that, and beginning to run us into the ground, or as my boy Spike Lee would say, beginning to run amok. We have to understand this white backlash cycle. And so let's start in trying to understand all of this. Let's go back now to the Reconstruction era, and that's in around the 1870s, because that's where the first backlash began to happen. And we'll bring it full circle, full throttle, I promise you. So just stick with me and engage with me, and I promise you we're about to get into it like really deep here. So I don't know how many of y'all realize, but Black folks were free and thriving during the Civil War. We owned businesses. Black folks were in Congress. Black folks were running city governments, county governments. Black folks were sheriffs. Black folks were as free can be. Now, y'all know last night we had a discussion and we explained what true freedom is. And that was the first time in our history and in really the history of America and the history of us as Black folks that we were truly free. And so with that, we weren't just free, but we were thriving. We built businesses, we entered into politics, and not only did we do those two things, but we did the most important thing. And what that was we started voting in huge numbers. Now, what I want and I need you all to do is I need you all to right now to hit that share button and hit that like button. So, because the more you hit the like button, the more you hit the share button, and the more you comment, the more our numbers go out, and the more this algorithm pushes us out there. And then plus, y'all know y'all got some kin folks, some brothers and some sisters, some aunties and some uncles, and some cousins too, and mama and dad and grandma and grandpa as well that need to hear this. So, share that out with everybody really quick as we are beginning here tonight. So, some of y'all might be wondering, if we were free and we had businesses and we were thriving in all of this, what happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. White America responded, and the way white America responded was almost similar to the way they're responding now. And white America burned the shit all the way down. So they responded by the KKK coming to fruition and them beginning to terrorize us as Black voters, and they begin to kill our Black leaders. Then, after the KKK, there were now then Jim Crow laws that began, and those Jim Crow laws, as you all should know, began to lock us out of political and economic freedom. And so, from there, that brings us to about 1876. And in 1876, there's something that was called the 1876 Compromise. And what the 1876 Compromise was, in short, was where the North, and keep in mind, if you were in the North, you were supposed to be free. So in the North, they began to abandon black folks. And then in the South, those white Southerners, they began to regain control of the South. Thus, that 1876 Compromise would begin laying the groundwork for the KKK and for Jim Crow. And so, what is the lesson that we all need to be bringing home about this first backlash during the 1870s and the Reconstruction era? What we all need to fundamentally be understanding and be bringing home now is that white backlash will always follow black progress. Let me repeat it again. White backlash always follows black progress. So let's move a little bit forward. Let's jaywalk into the next century, into the 1900s. More specifically, let's jaywalk and speed up to the Civil Rights era. Because in the Civil Rights era, that's where we now see the second backlash. The Civil Rights Movement forced America to change. And I'm sure we all know that because we aren't that far removed from the Civil Rights era. And so with the Civil Rights Movement, it forcing America to change because America could see the way America was treating itself, meaning us black folks, because it was being broadcasted out on national television like never before. That's how we got things like the Voting Rights Act, like the Civil Rights Act, like the Fair Housing Act, and how we begin to start gaining real power. Now, last night, I don't know if y'all remember, but I told you, you can't have freedom without power. They just won't exist separately. You can't have one without the other. So in order to obtain true freedom, you must first obtain power. And so we're gaining this power. We're gaining more control. We're gaining more prominence. We're in a sense moving towards true freedom. And so, what white America's response was they decided to beat us as black folks with new weapons. And the new weapons they rolled out against us was mass incarcerations, or as I like to call it, and as it's referred to right now, the new Jim Crow. And so when mass incarcerations now begin, that's when they introduce now the war on drugs. Because before then, there was never any war on drugs. The war on drugs was something that the white folks, something that white America created. Then, what did they do? Because we started getting true freedom, or started to feel like we were getting true freedom. What they then introduced was affirmative action. And so with affirmative action and black wealth building efforts, we begin to face immediate attacks. And finally, this is where we begin to see this switch. Because in the 1960s, some of you might not realize that our modern day Democrats were really Republicans back then. And the Republicans were what we called Southern Dixiecrats. And so that's when the Southern strategy was rolled out. And with the Southern strategy that was rolled out by white America, and when I say white America, I'm talking about those white evangelical, those white Appalachia Christians. What those white people did, what those white voters did, was they decided to back the GOP, and they began to play into racial fears. That's what they begin to do. And so, in this era, with the second backlash, what we learned and what we begin to see here as Black America and the lessons we took home was every time we win, they change the game. Now, y'all remember on last night, I told you every time we begin to win, they change the rules. And that's what they continue to do. And whether they're changing the game, whether they're changing the rules, or they're stoking fear and violence, it's always about control. So, now, that brings us to this third and final stage of backlash. And it takes place between 2008 and 2024. And we have Obama and Trump here. So, as you all know, in November 2008, we elect the first black man, first black person as the leader of the free world and the commander-in-chief of the United States Army, President Barack Hussein Obama Jr., thus improving that change was possible and that change could happen in America, thus proving we were at the top of the pinnacle. We really couldn't go no higher than that because we had the top office down as black folks. So 2008 rolls around, and shortly after 2008, because a black man became the leader of the free world, we now find in 2010 that we begin to have these rhinos, or what is called Republicans in name only, because the Tea Party movement started to arise. Now, Kin folks, what I'm trying to do here tonight is to just fundamentally begin to lay the foundational groundwork, because this weekend, and it may wait till Monday because I know the Super Bowl and y'all gonna be wanting to watch the Super Bowl at Super Bowl parties and stuff. So we may forego the stream this weekend, and only for this weekend because of the Super Bowl and all the festivities around. What I'm doing here is laying the groundwork for a two-part masterclass, two-part KinFam chat around how the Republican Party, the GOP, how MAGA, in a sense, became the American Taliban. So I'm just laying the fundamental groundwork right now and starting to introduce some of these concepts to you, because we're going to go full throttle in and jump off the cliff come next week when we talk about that. And man, I cannot wait. I have been prepping for that the last couple of days, and my God, what I've been finding in my research is just unbelievable. So, the Tea Party movement, it comes about in 2010, as I just told y'all, and the Tea Party movement is a direct result of white backlash and the white America's response to a black man being in Oval Office. in 2016, I'm sorry, no, before we get to 2016, we have to stop in 2013 first, because in 2013, the U.S. Supreme Court, they decided to gut the Voting Rights Act, thus allowing voter suppression laws to return. I talk and spend a great deal of time on that in my book, Black America, It's Time for Us to Save America Again. And I fundamentally talk about, for more than half the book, why our voting rights are under attack and what we need to do to begin to win back our voting rights. But I'll digress there. So now we can make our way to 2016, because once we get to 2016, that's where MAGA now, where the Tea Party now, which seems like a distant, far distant cousin of the Republican Party today, because the Republican Party today is just blatantly, openly racist. That's what they blatantly are. And so with that, we see in 2016, he comes down the escalator. I'll never forget it. Comes down those escalators in his tower in New York City when he announces that he's going to be running. We all thought it was a joke. Nobody wanted to take him seriously. And what did he say about Mexicans and Latinas? Is that they were racists, rapists, and murderers. And then he began to say far worse stuff, and to show and to embolden all of these white races out there. He began to embolden the white fear that's in America. The white fear that when you see a black person, whether it's a cop, whether it's an everyday person, when they see us because we have darker skin complexion, they're automatically afraid of us. He allowed that to happen. To now twice impeach, 34 count, convicted felon in chief. So that's 2016. That brings us to 2020, when Black America, we tried to hop in the fight with Joe and Kamala and to save America, because in 2020 we had the pandemic and all of that, and by the grace of God, we were able to save America. But then January 6, 2021 happens. And they get marching orders from the racist felon in chief to storm and take hold of the Capitol. They get these marching orders. He gives it to them on live TV, and then he refuses to call in the military. Y'all saw the other night when we talked about how scared Mitch McConnell was and how pissed off Mitch McConnell still is. Mitch ain't talked to the convict felon in chief since that happened. Then he decided not to show up for the inauguration, and with him deciding not to show up for the inauguration, that then set up the opportunity and the gateway for the GOP to begin waging war on this democracy. And they begin waging war by instituting gerrymandering, by stacking the courts, and really by full throttling, full speed ahead, this MAGA extremism. Then it brings us full circle to the day when the convict and felon returns, and y'all and they re-electing. And all that did was prove that America has not learned from our history, and thus history is repeating ourselves again. Let that sink in for a moment. History is repeating itself again now for about the fourth time. And I wish I could call it, and I wish I could say this is the fourth and the final time. Excuse me. I just wish I could say it. So with that, I want y'all to hop in the chat right now because I got a question for y'all. And that is, what's the most dangerous white backlash that we've seen? What's the most dangerous? Was it Jim Crow after the Reconstruction era? Was it hell? Was it mass incarceration after the Civil Rights movement? Is it the creation of MAGA after Obama 2012 election? Or is it this Trump 2.0 right now in 2025? What is the most dangerous era of white backlash that has happened so far? I know what I think the most dangerous era is. And by far, I'm going to tell y'all, I don't think it's MAGA after Obama. I don't think it was the mass incarceration after the Civil Rights Movement. And I don't think it was Jim Crow after Reconstruction. I think the most dangerous era is what we are in right now, Trump 2.0. Why, Devontae, do you think that? Why I think that, and why not just I think that, why I know that to be fact, is because they told us what they were going to do if they got reelected. They wrote a whole goddamn dossier that was 1,000 pages long called Project 2025. Now we want to bitch and moan and complain and whine because now they're implementing it and they're starting to roll everything back and dismantle everything that they told us that they were going to do in the first place. Now that they're doing all of that, we want to act like, oh, there's a problem. Like, what's going on? We didn't know. We didn't do this. This ain't it. Like, how did we get here? We want to play the hell out of crazy. But they told us. And they're doing it. And anybody that tells you what they're going to do before they do it, and then they have the audacity to put it in writing, then they go on a marketing campaign, rolling it out throughout last election cycle, telling us, oh my God, when are we going to learn? So, now that we have some understanding of how America got to this point, and we understand the white backlash circle, now let's begin to talk about and have the conversation about how the GOP and MAGA really begin to take control and seize power. Now, I am about to lay out their playbook right now, the real playbook. So, KinFam, what I want y'all to know, what I'm about to roll out, this ain't no accident. The strategy that they are implementing and that they are operating on has been 50 years in the making. It's been 50 years. And this is why Mitch McConnell is probably one of the best political strategists to ever walk this planet. And I do believe in giving props where they do. I may not agree with him on anything, but he is one political mastermind and genius and strategy, because one of the first things he began to roll in, and the same is true for Newt Gingrich and other Republicans, what they've recognized that we as Democrats has only started to begin recognizing is that judges and the judicial system hold the real power in this country. They hold the real power in this country. And so now, when it comes to them taking control, the first step is they took control of the courts, and they began to take control of the courts beginning in around and I don't want to give like an exact year, so probably in the 1990s up until now is when they really begin to roll out this full strategy to take control of the court. And so they spent the next 3 decades almost stacking the courts with conservative judges. And what did that all lead to? What did that allow them? What did that embolden them to do? That emboldened them to to gut the Voting Rights Act. They overturned Roe v. Wade. They struck down affirmative action. And then they gave the men in blue, the police, and they gave corporations more protections. And if y'all can't understand that, and if y'all don't see it now, by the amount of money and just the 4 or 5 people alone that were sitting behind him as he took the oath for a second time, I don't know what y'all looking at. There were over $2 trillion worth of economics and money and people that sat right behind him. The second step to them seizing the day, MAGA, is it started in about 2010 with the Tea Party movement, and it started with them rigging the vote. Yes, I'm going to use their language against them. And they began to rig the vote. The GOP began passing voter suppression laws. And the voter suppression laws they began passing just didn't start in 2010. It had been taking place for decades. And the voting suppression laws that they had to begin passing, everybody, is simply ID laws. It's purging black voters. It's closing polling places. It's all of these things. It's all of those things. And so much more. They begin gerrymandering the hell. And yes, I said gerrymandering the hell out of districts. And when they were gerrymandering the hell out of these districts, they begin to make black and Latino votes count less again. And they just weren't doing this at the national level, but they were doing this at a local level too. Here, let's take Ohio for example. It makes no sense. Ohio is gerrymandered like a motherfucker. Ohio is gerrymandered like a motherfucker, and we aren't the only state when it comes to our state leaders and who they represent. And better yet, our federal leaders, our congressional leaders and who they represent. We have a district here, a congressional district here in Ohio that runs from like South Columbus all the way down to the Dayton area, and then as far east as Athens and as far west as I don't know what. And Mike Carey's in that district. That's gerrymandering 1.0 for you all. That's gerrymandering right there. And so after they took control of the courts, after they took control of the vote, they now begin to take control over the media. But they begin to take control over the media well before the turn of the century. They begin to take control of the media, if we all remember, back when Nixon was in office, because there was a memo written. As I just told y'all, history will always repeat itself. There was a memo written, and Nixon didn't want to implement it. So after Nixon leaves office, the Murdochs, they fund this operation, for this apparatus, for this propagandist machine that we call right-wing media. It first started out as Fox News, and then after Fox News rolled out, they began taking control of something that we as black folks always had control of, and then we started to lose control of it. They began to take control of talk radio, and the Rush Limbaughs of the world were born and came onto the scene. And then if we fast forward it to modern day, now we have things like the Daily Wire. We have things like Breitbart. We have things like One American News. And we got all of these MAGA influencers. And all they do, all their apparatus does, and hell, they're doing it right from the White House now, and they're doing it right from the White House press room, is feed us nonstop lies, because they know they won't be challenged on it. You know, I have to give the Republicans their props, y'all. I really do. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Give me 1 second. I said it before, and I'll say it again. The props I have to give the Republican Party is they'll set a strategy at the top, and then they'll pass those talking points on down, and everybody is always in the Republican Party going to be in lockstep with what has been passed down, those talking points, and that's all they're going to refute. Hell, we saw it with Obama and the birth certificate and the birther movement. The election was rigged, he said, when Biden was elected. What they do is they created their own reality. And in this reality, because I don't know how many of you all have been paying attention to the confirmations, but the Attorney General now, and the same thing is true for now the Secretary of Defense, they would not admit that the convicted felon and chief who's been twice impeached ever lost the 2020 election. They wouldn't admit it. And it's as flat out plain as day. Hell, Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles could tell you that he lost the election. But none of his folks wants to admit that, because it's been passed down from the top that the election was rigged and he was cheated out of the election, even though we know that's not true at all. And thus now, democracy, here, let me put it to you this way, not just democracy, but the republic now becomes the enemy. The republic now becomes the enemy. And the fourth and the final thing in their playbook is they stoke fear and division. And they begin to use this white fear to fuel this MAGA movement, or as they like to call it, Make America Great Again. But was America ever great? Is the question I have for you. They begin saying they're taking your jobs. They're teaching your kids critical race theory. They're trying to replace you. They're doing this. They're doing that. Like, oh no, and now you got these Karens and these Kevins, and they don't know what to do, and they're freaking out, and they call the cops, and the cops show up. Pop, pop, oh, that. White fear. Because they see us as black folks as a threat and beginning to take over. Some of you might not realize that America is less than 20 years away from being a country that's minority majority, meaning where white folks will be in the minority. It's going to take place in 2043 if we continue on this trajectory. So that's their playbook. Nobody will break down their playbook quite like that to you and give you the real and the raw. But now that we've talked about and we now understand how America got to this point, fam, and now we understand how the GOP and MAGA seized power and began to take control. Now we come to part 3, and that is the right here and the right now. 2025, Trump's 2025. And now we have a lot at stake because, y'all, we are in the shit right now. We're in the shit right now. And the shit we're in right now, what we're up against is, whether y'all want to believe it or not, a Trump revenge presidency. What do you mean by that, Devontae? Well, if y'all haven't been paying attention, he's now emboldened and he's weaponized the Department of Justice to go after all of his opponents that came after him. I don't know if y'all were paying attention, but just a couple days ago, well over 10,000 federal agents within the FBI, within the Department of Justice that were responsible for the investigations and going after and making sure they were held to account, the January 6th insurrectionists, not rioters, not protesters, but insurrectionists. He said, all right, I let my boys out. Now it's time for y'all to go to jail because y'all wanted to put my army, my team, my boys in jail. We see the militarization of police and how it's being allowed to expand in order to crush protests. There's voting restrictions that are being passed all across this country. They're taking polling locations away. I remember last year during the general election, there was this county in Georgia that used to have 4 voting locations, but because of voting suppression and voting rights laws, they went down to 1. And that one they went down to only had 2 voting machines for a county of a couple thousand people. Black America, I don't know if y'all can realize or if y'all even see it, but we're in their crosshairs. We're in danger. Federal, and we're going to talk about this even deeper, but because I don't want to get off track here right now, but federal DEI programs, in the twink of an eye and a stroke of a pen, they're now gone. Affirmative action is over as we know it. We could kiss the George Floyd Justice Act and Policing Act to shreds. We can kiss the John Lewis Voting Rights Act to shreds. But I got news for you all. Y'all thought in 2020 the soul of America was up for an election. In 2026, it is damn time for us as Black America to save America's ass again. And we have to do it in 2026. Because I don't know if y'all have realized They got the judicial branch, they got the executive branch, they got a co-executive branch they've created with Elon, and they also have the legislative branch, the Senate, and the House. And so, because they have full control over this, democracy as we know it is coming to an end. It's burning down and being dismantled and taken apart right before our eyes, and not just democracy, because damn democracy, because democracy doesn't even really fully exist. The republic. But the framers, they told us, they gave us a promise that America was a republic for as long as we can keep it. But America is well on its way, within these next couple of weeks to months, to becoming a dictatorship. Don't say y'all's asses ain't been warned. Tell y'all right now, on no other outlet or platform are they having conversations like this. Now, our fight begins right now on February the 6th, 2025. I am about to give us our marching orders and our charge and our blueprint and our roadmap and strategy for how we can fight back. But before I do that, we started with tonight, what we're doing is talking about and exposing how Elon and how Donald were able to take over our republic. And we started with, and we went back to the Reconstruction era, and we talked about how America got to this point. Then we came forward and we had a discussion and we dug in deep to how MAGA and the GOP seized power, and we wrote out their entire playbook for how they did it. And then we just got through talking about what's at stake. And I told y'all this republic is at stake, and I don't think we can hold on to it for much longer. And it's evident just by what's playing out here, not on a day-by-day basis, not on an hour-by-hour basis, but on a minute-to-minute basis. So what is our blueprint? What is our charge? Well, kinfolk, we ain't going to sit back and let this happen. We ain't going to sit back and let them rip freedom from us. So, here's the game plan. The game plan starts off with us building black political power in states that matter. What are you talking about, Devante? Well, we need to begin to build black political power in battleground states like Georgia, in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in North Carolina, in Arizona, in Pennsylvania. Because I don't know if y'all realize it, but the Democrats got their asses kicked. Lost every fucking battleground state. And that's why they can say, MAGA can say, that their leader was emboldened. This is why the races and the Klan and insurrectionists can say, if he tells us to go jump off a cliff, we'll go jump off a cliff. We need to begin to build black political power in these states. There's already movements for black political power happening. But while we're building black political power in these battleground states, I want y'all to recognize and to realize and to understand that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And I know we talked about this last night. As my grandma used to say, all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and all people who are for you ain't always going to be for you, or let alone with you. So what we need to begin doing, how do we begin building this black political power? It's simple. It's I just told y'all history always repeats itself. We're going to do exactly what our ancestors did back in the 60s, back during the Civil Rights Movement, back during that third white backlash era and period and time frame that we talked about. And we are going to start now, because it starts now, voter registration drives. And when we start these voter registration drives, we're going to get black Greek organizations involved. We're going to get black civic organizations involved. We're going to get black churches. Yes, the black church. And hell, don't even get me started or come to me with that fucking line that says that, oh, we can't talk politics in church. This church and state are separate. When the fuck was church and state ever separate? In the Bible. Here, y'all ain't hearing me. Y'all ain't hearing me. Y'all see this right here? Right here in this Bible, this book right here? It talks about for over 1,000 pages how politics and the church were intertwined. So don't give me that damn line that church and state is separate. I see some of y'all hopping off here now because y'all upset. Well, y'all just have to be upset, but we're going to have a real conversation here. As my uncle used to tell me, I'm going to get all up in y'all's asses tonight because there hasn't been nobody willing to get up in our asses and to fundamentally tell us the truth that we need to hear. And not only tell us the truth that we need to hear, but also call out the lies that are being refuted to us. Not only are we going to do voter registration drives, because some of y'all don't realize in some of the states, ergo in Ohio, felons can vote. Y'all don't understand, as a sister friend of mine would say, the rules of engagement. As Mama Diggs would say, yeah, y'all motherfuckers don't understand the rules of engagement. And that's why I'm about to take my ass back in this house, because I've been out here too long, and for y'all still not to understand, trying to teach y'all, trying to get y'all to understand the rules of engagement. And y'all don't want to understand the rules of engagement, and y'all wonder why we continue to get our asses kicked. I just told y'all, and we just talked about how he got back in. They saw it as a mandate for him. It was all based on white fear. They've registered those white folks, those white hillbillies. They got them out there to vote. And we need to be out there talking and registering folks to vote and talking about voter protection efforts and how we are going to make sure and ensure that we have rides to the polling locations. That if we have to stand in long lines, that there's a way we can have water, or we don't pass out and we have the appropriate things that we need while we wait in the lines to vote. So we're going to win by beginning to build black political power in states that matter. The second thing we're going to do, and that we need to do in order to win, is we need to start supporting black-owned media. And we need to stop with all of this fucking Make America MAGA disinformation. Because I'm getting tired of receiving the Instagram wheels and the TikToks and the memes and the tweets and the spills and the blue skies and the Facebook posts and the DMs and the text messages and the comments with stuff that's just factually incorrect. And y'all know who y'all are, who I'm talking to. Y'all, because that's all y'all want to do is y'all want to believe their information, which is disinformation. I just told y'all they took control and they built their own media outlets. We need to support independent black platforms like Kin Plus, like Roland Martin's The Black Star Network, like Earn Your Leisure, like Blavity, like Fanbase, and this goes well beyond just black media, but social media too, because social media is the new media. It's the new networks. So we need to support Fanbase and what Brother Isaac Hayes is doing over there. We need to support Spill, which is Black Twitter. And we need to begin to support these grassroots networks. And while we are supporting them, we need to be able to support them not just with our mouths, because that's one way to support them, and with our viewership, but we need to make sure we're supporting them with our checkbooks. In other words, as Grandma used to say, you need to be ready to put your money where your mouth is. Y'all got that? You need to be ready to put your money where your mouth is. And in putting our money and our support where our mouth is, that's how we begin to push truth. Because we can no longer simply only rely on MSNBC and CNN to fight for us. Because right now, all legacy media is all... mainstream media is now another distribution piece for MAGA. That's all it is. That's all it is. So, not only do we need to build black political power in states that matter, not only do we need to support black-owned media and stop all of this MAGA disinformation bullshit, but we need economic independence. And I told y'all last night when we talked about freedom, why and how economic independence equals political power. They are one and the same, and you can't have one without the other. And so with that, we need to begin to support black businesses and financial institutions. If you're in Ohio right now, hell, even if you aren't in Ohio right now and you are black, you need to find a way to log on to adelphibank.com or get into the branch at a Delphi Bank in Columbus, Ohio, and open up a bank account and support our black-owned bank. Because y'all always want to cry and bitch and moan and complain and say, oh, we don't have black banks. Well, we don't have black financial institutions because when we do have our own, y'all don't want to support them. Y'all talk about they don't have this and they don't have that. We can't do Zelle and all of this. Well, we'll never be able to do this if they don't have the cash and the capital and the resources that they need to go before these other institutions to say, hey, we're ready to get the approvals that we need to have all of this stuff so we can be the next Cash Apps, so we can have and build our own Zelles. We got to support our own financial institutions. And I got a business account over at a Delphi. I not just have one, but I got two. And I also have a personal account over, two personal accounts, rather. So I'm not just out here talking this talk. I'm out here walking the talk as well. I may not put all my money over there, but you better damn believe I got some of my money over there, because I'll be the biggest fucking hypocrite around out here telling y'all we need to support black financial institutions, and I'm not doing it my damn self. We need to support black businesses, and that's why this 40-day fast at targetfast.com. That's targetfast.com, I do believe, and it's not .org. where Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant out of New Birth Christian Ministries in Atlanta, Georgia, has rolled out this plan in partnership, in conjunction, and right now we are working to get a representative from the United States Black Chamber of Commerce to come on next week and to talk about this and to tell us how we can become a member. We need to join that 40-day fast. Because what that 40-day fast is not just a boycott, but it's about reinvesting our money. Because it's not enough to yank our money from something, but we have to be willing to reinvest our money back into ourselves and into our own businesses. We got to be willing to put funding behind black political campaigns and black candidates too. We can't ask them to stand up and be out there, and we aren't willing to fund them. We can't ask Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. We can't ask Auntie Maxine. We can't ask all of our local elected officials. We cannot ask Jasmine Crockett. We cannot ask AOC. We cannot ask Ayanna Presley. We cannot ask Congressman Al Green. We cannot ask any of them to continue to fight this fight, and we aren't willing to fund them. We aren't willing to invest in them. And the fourth and the final thing is, while we are doing all of this, we are now beginning to focus right now, as of today, this moment, the 2026 midterms. Because we're going to win back Congress. Y'all didn't hear me. Y'all didn't hear me. Because if y'all heard me, I would see emojis and I see the chat popping up and down. I would see hearts and likes going up and down right now. Y'all ain't ready for this, so I'm just going to drink some coffee. Y'all ain't ready? Y'all ain't ready? We're going to win back Congress. We are going to take it back. And the way we take it back is we're going to put out there strong, progressive candidates that are not only willing to throw a punch, but they're willing to throw a counter punch. And they're willing to actually get in the fight and to stay in the fight and fight till hell freezes over. And then when hell freezes over, break the ice and fight some more. That's the type of fighting I'm talking about, the type of people who we need. Because we're going to win back Congress. We don't need no weak-ass Democrats. We need leaders who are willing to take the fight to the GOP and to use their playbook and just to set everything as they knew it to their very fundamental existence about the Democratic Party, about Black America, and to set that shit on fire all up in flames and to make them think we are crazy as hell and they won't know what the hell hit them. I'm trying to tell y'all, we are going to win back Congress. And we're going to win back Congress by supporting Black-owned media, gaining and getting our economic independence, by getting our political power, by focusing on these midterms, but by building Black political power in states, in the battleground states that matter. Because I don't want to see us building Black political power and Black political power in states like Ohio when we know damn well we aren't winning Ohio. Ohio is red. It's no longer a swing state. It's not purple anymore. Damn, we'll have to come back and try and win it in 28, but we cannot spend time in states like this. We cannot allow these white folks who were at the top of the DNC, who allowed Kamala and the entire fucking down ballot of the Democrats to completely negate their base. Sherrod Brown is probably wondering why he fucking lost the Senate. He fucking lost the Senate because he ran from his base. And I know I'll be unliked by all the Democrats around Ohio, but quite frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Because he ran from his base. Sherrod forgot when he was elected all those years ago in 2012. He forgot that the reason why he was elected is because he was in black and brown neighborhoods in 70, 80, 90-degree days in a full suit, knocking on doors, shaking hands, kissing babies, and listening to his base. But he seemed to have forgotten that this last time around. But he just didn't forget that. Other folk had forgotten that as well. Kamala, they didn't even give her the opportunity to even come court the black base until it was too late. So I got a question for y'all. What's the number one thing that you all believe that we need to do before 2026? What's the number one thing? Because I'm about to bring this KinFam chat to a close. I'm about to bring us to a close here. We've talked about this past hour. And I've tried to lie out for you all how Trump and how Elon Musk were able to stage this coup and to take over hostilely our republic. We talked about how we got to this point. We talked about and we wrote out the real GOP playbook and how MAGA sees their playbook. We talked about what's at stake right now. And then I just tried to pour my heart into rolling out how we fight back. And y'all best better damn well believe that I'm not telling y'all we just gonna fight, but I'm gonna have my ass out there on the front lines too. Because I had my ass out there on the front lines last election cycle, and I did the damn thing. I didn't feel like the election was the election at first, but when Kamala got in, I did everything I knew how to do. I called everybody. I registered by myself in the state of Ohio. I registered by myself, and God be my witness alone, well over 2,500 people. I knocked on well over 8,000 doors. I'm not even going to talk about how many miles I walked. So before you come to me saying you better be doing this too, baby, I've been out there in those fields. I've been out there in those streets, and I'm going to stay out there. Yeah, I may have took a break these last couple months to lick some wounds, but baby, I didn't leave the streets because I'm always going to be a street guy. I'm always. Come on now. Come on, it's all right to take a break, but in taking our break, we can't forget and we can't completely delineate what's out there in front of us right now. So, what I want you to take home, and I want you all to realize, Kim folks, is that this is our moment, and that history shows that if we don't fight, they're always going to win. So, as my grandma, as my mom used to say, you either use it or lose it. We either build or we lose. Because no longer can we sit here in grief and in sympathy and in mourning. No, we have to get the fuck up and we have to do something. And so, this is our moment. This is our now. This is our opportunity. So, the call to action is to share out this stream and begin to wake our people up. Because people need to see this stream. You need to support independent black media and join platforms like Kin Plus. And you could join as a free member because all of our content, the majority of it, is free. So there should be no reason why y'all aren't scanning that damn QR code, putting in y'all's email address so you could get on the email list. Because I'm telling y'all, it's only a matter of time before Zuckerberg, because hell, we already see Elon doing it, before Zuckerberg starts kicking us off his platforms. Y'all saw what happened to TikTok. Woo. Let me not get into it. I tried to explain to y'all, and I've always tried to explain to y'all, and y'all just don't seem to get it, is that all politics are local politics. They start at the local level, and you have to get involved at the local level and at the state level and at the county level in politics now. If you're in Ohio, you need to be down at that state house right now because they are debating right now and negotiating the state budget. And the state budget will go into effect for the next 2 years if you're in Ohio on July 1. All politics are local, and if all politics are local and we are to be getting involved locally and on a county level and at a state level, we need to fundamentally understand the rules of engagement. But you'll never understand or never know the rules of engagement unless you get involved. So I got news for y'all. And it's hashtag, we cannot afford to wait for change any longer. We need to build it. 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 Whew. Ooh, man. We need to build it. We fundamentally need to build it. Now, y'all cannot say y'all don't know and y'all don't understand why the United States and our republic is under attack. And y'all can't say y'all don't understand and y'all don't know how those two right there, how those two white prep boys, took over us because we just exposed it here. I just lied it all out for you all right there. So before I get out of here tonight, and let's talk a little bit about really quickly before we head out of here tonight. I'm going to have 3 really quick conversations. And the first conversation I want to have, and I want to show you how all of this, always ties back into whatever we talk about in our family chat, how it always ties back into today's daily news. So I don't know if y'all have heard about Doge and what their next roadkill is, so to say, but it's the Department of Education. And for those of you that don't know what Doge is, it's this department or this office that's within the U.S. Treasury. Don't get me started on that. That y'all's boy, the 34-count convicted felon, twice impeached, felon-in-chief, gave created for his boy, his co-presidency. And it's called the Department of Government Efficiency, or Doge for short, D-O-G-E. And so what they're trying to do right now is to completely eliminate the U.S. Department of Education. But we were warned about this. This was foreshadowed and forecasted through Project 2025. Right now, there are Doge agents already inside the Department of Education. And what they're doing they are slashing budgets because they're trying to get rid of public education. And so people like me and you, they don't want us to have an education anymore. They're trying to return us to pre-civil rights heirs, to pre-second white backlash heirs. Y'all may not realize it, but Trump signed an executive order. Or I'm sorry, he hasn't signed an executive order, but he is expected to be signing soon and very soon an executive order that's going to completely dismantle the agency. And thus, when he does that, what that's going to do, supposedly, is to hand education over to the states. So, you may be wondering and asking yourselves right now, how is this a direct attack on black and brown communities? Well, the first way it's an attack on black and brown communities is that public schools are just going to collapse within the red states like Georgia, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee. I go on and on and on. Kentucky, all of those states. They're just going to collapse because those Republican governors, all they're going to do is funnel the money to charter and private schools, thus leaving the poor black students, and not just poor black students, all black students for real, and leaving poor students in underfunded, crumbling districts for real. I mean, our districts in public schools are already crumbling, but y'all ain't seen nothing yet if the states end up getting control of that public education system again. HBCU funding is going to be cut. Because y'all may not realize it, but the Department of Education, it provides millions, when they send a check, it provides millions to HBCUs every day. So if there's no Department of Education, if it's gone, those funds go with it. Student loans and Pell Grants, they're going to be gutted. KinFam, what I need you all to fundamentally realize, KinFam, what I need you all to fundamentally realize, chat, is that black students are the #1 demographic depending on federal student aid. Hell, even though I got a full ride to college at Wittenberg University, I still had to depend on federal aid. And the only reason I got a full ride was because I was eligible for federal aid, for Pell Grants, for unsubsidized and subsidized loans, because they said we were under that economic threshold. So if eliminating the DOE, you have to understand, eliminating it means that there are going to be fewer grants, there are going to be fewer loans, and thus fewer chances at a higher education. Now, you all have heard me preach time and time again that unless you're going to become a doctor or something in the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, and math, or unless you're going to become an attorney, you really don't need to go into debt for this higher education. Now, you've heard me say that multiple times, and I will go 10 toes deep down on that one. But you may say, then why'd you go? Well, I went because in my house that I grew up in, it was an unspoken expectation that my ass graduated from high school. But it was expected that I took my ass to college. Because of all the fighting my ancestors did for it. I can remember going to school with my mother when she was getting her college degree. And while my mother was in school getting her college degree, my grandmother was in school with her getting a college degree. What you all need to understand is that education will become a business for the wealthy. All of these MAGA billionaires and millionaires, they will control education, and they're going to control education if there's no Department of Education through private schools, while public education is just left to rot. KinFam, this just ain't about schools. This is about control, I keep telling you. This is about power. MAGA wants an uneducated, a desperate, and a low-wage workforce. Why do they want that? So we cannot fight back against them. Essentially, it's called erasure. They're trying to erase our history. And so with them trying to erase our history, because we all know that's what they want to do, taking critical race theory out of schools, taking black history and DEI and all that. That's what they're doing. By doing all of that, then there's no more black history. And if there's no more black history, there's no more civil rights education. There's no more truth. There's no more Dr. King. There's no more W.E.B. Du Bois. There's no more Malcolm X. There's no more Stokely. I could go on and on and on and on and on naming folks. John Lewis. But I think y'all get the point. There's no more if the Department of Education is attacked and it is eliminated. It won't cease to exist. I told y'all we are in a fight for our lives right now. We are in a battle for America. And Black America, the only way America in this republic is for which this republic stands on is going to win this battle and this war is if we take it by force and save their asses yet again. So, I'm sure y'all realize that Democrats, they've been out in these streets this past week. They decided to get their fucking heads in a game, and they just so happen that now they want to start fighting. But is it enough? So here, let me break it down. Let me put it down where the goats can get it and tell y'all what's happening with the Democrats. Basically, we have no congressional power. We have no congressional power on any committee or anything. They got all of our power. So now what Democrats are now doing is that they are now protesting outside of federal buildings and rallying against Trump's executive orders. We saw 2 days ago that they were protesting outside of the USIDA, the Treasury, and the Labor Department, as Trump and all of his cronies executed one of the biggest federal government purges in U.S. history. But I got a question for them. And the question I have for them, and really the question I have for all Democrats, is y'all say you're ready to fight back, but is protesting in the streets enough? Is it? Is it enough? Yes, there may be some progressives that are demanding tougher tactics, like blocking funding, like refusing to raise the debt ceiling, like using the filibuster, like using legal loopholes to stall Trump's agenda. But are y'all really ready to fight? And to fight by any means necessary. We're going to talk about that next week, how you fight by any means necessary. I'm going to go deeper into that. But are you ready to fight, Democrats? Because what the GOP is doing, as I told y'all, they've been playing chess. They've prepared decades, for over 50 years, for this moment, for such a time as this. They prepared for it. They are ready. They are in this fight. And what they are doing, if y'all hadn't realized, is they are playing and they have obtained and they have won power. And what it seems like we're doing is we're just playing in our constituents and in America's face just for the optics. Yeah, I said it. Democrats are playing for the optics, it looks like. But the harsh reality of the truth, and the harsh truth is that the protests aren't going to stop those executive orders. What's going to stop those executive orders? What we need is legislative power. What we need is judicial power. Because we've seen this play out before. Democrats mobilizing in the streets. But what they fail to do while they're mobilizing in the streets is they fail to organize politically. They fail to have the right hand and the left hand, the right side and the left side work together. Because you can't mobilize without organizing. And you can't organize without mobilizing. Democrats, y'all have to get y'all's heads in the game and to adapt and to get this mentality and to get this mindset that we have to win by any means necessary. And you got to get in this fight and you got to stay in this fight and you got to be willing to throw not just a punch but a counter punch. And you may get your asses knocked down, but baby, you got to get back up. You got to get back up. And we got to get aggressive. We got to get tougher. And we got to do it now. Not by 2026. Because if we do it by 2026, we're late. And the republic is gone. And we're in a dictatorship. Because if we don't do it now, the GOP, they keep control of Congress. And I already told y'all earlier. We as the Democrats, we as Black America first, we are going to take back the United States Senate and the United States Congress. We're going to take it back. The Elon Musk and the Trump administrations, they're openly collecting all of this data. And Elon has one of the biggest social platforms out there. And they're collecting all of this open data. And they have access to all of this data on American citizens. So I got a question. Where's the resistance to that? Where's the resistance? I could tell you what resistance should look like. This is how we should be fighting back. We should be starting with mass economic boycotts. This ain't nothing new. I'm taking it all from right here in Dr. King's book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. Mass economic boycotts. We need to be targeting companies funding Trump's policy. And then we need to shut down their profits. But we don't just need to be doing and having mass economic boycotts. We need to be going at it the right strategic way. I just told y'all that Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant, in his 40-day fast, in partnership, in conjunction with the United States Chambers, Black Chamber of Commerce, and what they're doing and what we get access to reinvest and re-put our money in the black community. So it's not just about boycotting what Nina's doing, but it's about reinvesting that money into us. That's what I mean when I say a mass economic boycott. Or maybe I shouldn't call it a mass economic boycott. A mass economic paradigm shift. A mass economic paradigm shift. Yes, I think that's a better ideology and a better phraseology of how to say it. Then, yeah, we need to understand that local and state power right now, they're up for grabs. The Republicans right now, they're focusing on state level power too. They have federal power. Now they are focused on obtaining state level power. And you know what? We as Democrats, we keep just completely ignoring the state levels. We keep ignoring it because in states like Ohio, the Democrats don't even have anybody on the bench, let alone that's willing to declare and to announce their candidacy for governor or hell, any other state office. Black, white, or in between on the Democrat side in states like Ohio. And that's because we, as Democrats, and keep in mind, I'm not a Democrat, I'm black first, but I do vote Democrat probably 95% of the time because typically a Democratic agenda aligns best to a black political agenda. And I'm all about what best suits and what best aligns to a black political agenda first. I'm black first, everybody, if y'all didn't know that already. That's why we have a collection called I Am Black 365 24/7. But Democrats, they keep ignoring state levels. We need to mobilize for 2026 right now, today, because we need to understand that we aren't just going to be taking back and seizing back the House and the Senate, but we are going to be flipping it. We're going to not just flip it, but we're going to use the hostile takeover tactics that MAGA and Trump and Elon use. And we're going to flip the scripts and we're going to use it on them. But the only way that's going to work and the only way that's going to happen is if we start and we do it now. And then the last and the final way we should be fighting is we have to understand, and I keep saying this, we got to understand the rules of engagements. And the rules of engagements, yesterday in the conversation that we had about the black church that now owns the trademark and the merchandise and the naming rights to the Proud Boys, they understood the rules of engagement. They understood how the white people play. They understood how the Republicans play. What we need to be doing is ready and willing and able and by any means necessary waging legal warfare. And we need to be ready to block the court. Because every one of these moves, what we should be doing is tying them so far up in litigation right now. Where are the Democratic litigation? Where are the Democratic legal teams at? Because they should have their asses tied up in so much litigation that it ain't funny. But where are they at? Where are all the Democratic attorneys? The Obama appointed and the Democratic appointed federal judges can only do so much because there is an appeals process. So once you make it to one level of the federal court, then you make it to the U.S. District Court of Appeals. And after the U.S. District Court of Appeals, there's the Circuit Court and the Supreme Court. We need to be tying their asses up in litigation. Because if we don't tie their asses up in litigation, Democrats, we aren't going to win. And y'all can keep doing all this for the optics and for the gram. I gotta get a sip of coffee, y'all. Woo, man. Starting to lose my voice here tonight. Woo, man. Somebody said, preach, nephew. Hey, I'm not trying to preach, but y'all gotta know, man. I'm trying to tell y'all. Y'all got, So, this last conversation we are going to have tonight as we come forward is Trump has waged war against the media, and he is beginning to take the first steps to authoritarianism and to the completion of his coup. Now, before we get into what's happening, I need y'all to understand that when a coup takes place, the first thing that happens is the military is seized. They've already seized the military. Unfortunately, I don't like it, you may not like it, but he's the commander-in-chief. Now, when a coup happens, after you get control of the military, you immediately get control of the media, because if you got control of the military and the media, you could take and do anything that you want to do from there. Because you have the force to enforce your message and your rules, and then you have a way now to get it out. So here's what's happening. Trump's FCC has been targeting CBS for news distortion. And Trump sued CBS for billions, yes, billions with a B. I believe it was north of $10 billion. After a heavily edited interview with former Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. He's threatening CBS's broadcasting license, and with him threatening their broadcasting license, y'all, he's setting the precedents for taking full control over the media. But let me stop right there. Not only is he setting the precedents for this, but CBS not backing down and allowing him to do this by coming to an agreement and coming to a settlement. What they are doing is they are putting business and ratings first. And yes, they're in last place in the ratings game among the big three networks, but they're putting business first because right now they are afraid that Trump and his FCC won't allow their merger of their parent company, not merger, but the acquisition of their parent company, Viacom, because Viacom is in the middle of getting purchased by a bigger conglomerate. They won't allow the bigger conglomerate the ability to take acquisition of Viacom. And they will thus not allowing the sale to go through. So CBS is at fault too by playing business and playing politics too. But straight up, from Trump's perspectives, this is straight up authoritarianism. It's like what Putin does in Russia. And yes, I just invoked Vladimir Putin. Kinfolks, we need to learn from history. We need to understand that dictators always go after the media second. I just told you, they take the military and then they take the media. Military, media. I told y'all how this works at the top. Let's look at it. Nazi Germany. Hitler, he destroyed independent newspapers. Russia, Putin shut down opposition TV. And he jailed journalists. China, Jinping banned foreign news reporters and foreign journalists and foreign media outlets. And he censored the media there. And I'm telling you, this is all setting the stage for Trump to have MAGA-controlled media. And the real danger here is if Trump can scare mainstream media outlets into submission, independent voices are next. Independent voices are next. We saw this happen with St. Clair Media. We saw it happen with One America News Network. We saw it happen with Fox News, turning into these state propaganda outlets. MAGA, all they really want to do is they want to destroy the credibility of the news, and they want to be able to put out their own false misinformation. Or better yet, let me rewind. Let's rewind. They want to be able to replace it with their own version of the truth. Not lies. It's just their version of the truth. Or, as I used to tell my mom when I was younger and I was trying to get out of something, Mom, I just told you what you needed to know. I just didn't tell you everything, so ergo, it's not a lie. They want to put out lies, y'all. Independent black media, outlets like mine, outlets like Ken, outlets like Roland's, outlets like Blavity, outlets like the Tim Black Show, the Benjamin Dixon Show, the Black Press Network. They're going to be the next target. And so what we must do is we must begin to protect ourselves now. And we must protect ourselves now by being willing to fight back. And to say, we will not stand for this. So, KinFam, one last thing before we go charging out into this war for 2026. I want you to know that if Trump and Elon aren't stopped, that this republic as we know it is going to be over in 2026. If you didn't get anything else out of this stream tonight, if you didn't get anything else from me here on the Night Beat Breakdown, I hope you took away the 2026 blueprint. And the blueprint that I laid out is that we must take back. And we're going to take back. No excuses, the Senate and the House. We must build our own media outlets and our own social media infrastructures like Fanbase, like Ken, and like Ken Plus to fight disinformation. We must put economic pressure on companies funding Trump's agenda. And we must organize and mobilize, because you can't mobilize without organizing, and you can't organize without mobilizing, like we did so much so in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic when people were dying like cats and dogs because his ass didn't want to shut down the government. His ass didn't want to believe that we were in a pandemic in the middle of a crisis, a health crisis like we hadn't seen in a century and we hadn't seen in a generation. We got to organize. We got to mobilize like we did back then. We got to mobilize and organize like our ancestors did during the civil rights movement. But not only do we got to do mobilize and organize, we got to do it on a whole different level like they ain't seen yet. And the only way and one of the ways we begin doing that is by coming here to outlets like this every night, making sure you're on our media, on our email list, making sure you are members and you are supporting financially. So what I need y'all to do is to do a couple things as I wrap up these church announcements real quick. What I need y'all to do is I need you to share the stream. And I need you to wake our people up, to sound the alarm loud as hell. And to sound it by any means necessary. Sound the alarm. Sound it loud. Because we are truly on fire. We're truly on fire. And then what I need y'all to do, what I need y'all fundamentally to do, fam, is I need y'all membership to Kim Plus. Even if you're just scanning the QR code or going to our website, www.welcomehomekin.com, to get on our email list, because everything on the site is free for the most part. We don't put much behind a paywall at all. We do have member-only streams and workshops and things like that, but that's about it. Because I believe media should be free. I believe news and information should be free. And so it's really about supporting us economically. And I need us to start organizing, and I need us to start mobilizing now. Because as I told you, as my mama said, if we don't use it, we lose it. Or as I'm going to phrase it, if we don't build it, we will lose it. It's just what it is. And so, the last and the final thing is, I don't want y'all to wait for change. Let's start building it now. And as Little Duvall would say, let's start living our best life, everybody. This has been the Night Beat Breakdown, y'all. Little Duvall's gonna take us home. Let's go do this thing, y'all. Stay up.